All right, y'all, what's up? We're back with another News Tuesday, and I'm Ryan Rowley of Simple Benefits, also known as Simple Vet Benefits. And this channel is dedicated mainly to teaching veterans about the VA claims or VA compensation process. And today, on Tuesdays, every Tuesday at 7 p.m., we go over the latest news that affects veterans most. Okay? All right, so let's get started. The It's a year-long community care authorizations, which was effective August 4th, 2025, so yesterday. Um, so the VA is extending community care authorizations to 12 months for 30 standardized services. I'm talking cardiology, orthopedics, general, hand, spine, oncology, hematology, dermatology, neurology, mental health, outpatient, family and couples therapy, um, addiction psychiatry, sleep, eye care, GI, um, nephrology, urology, nutrition, etc. I mean, I've never even heard of some of these, but hey, I'm sure they're all effective. Um, this places the old 90 to 180 day cycle and is aimed at reducing reauth gaps. So, very exciting stuff. So this matters because of continuity, most of all. So if you're in PT, chemo, behavioral health, or other ongoing specialty care, you can plan a full year of visits without pausing for reauth. Now, huge stuff because I know that can be extremely annoying every 30 to 90 days. So this means less admin drag, fewer renewal bottlenecks for you, your VA clinic, and outside providers. All right, so checks and balances. Some observers warn longer authorizations could increase costs if not managed well. So expect scrutiny and occasional hiccups as sites implement the change. All right. And also, with every piece of news that I share with you, I will add this to the description of the video. I may also add it to the comments, the list of links to these articles to the comments and pin it to the top. All right. Also, if you're tuning in, sound off where you are viewing from. All right. As you know, I'm in the DMV area. All right. So, how does this work? Here's a quick guide. All right. Ask your VA clinician whether your referral fits one of the 30 services and request a 12-month authorization. Now, you can cite the official August 4th VA announcement. All right. So, all right, confirm the dates with your VA community care office. Keep a copy of the auth letter, the portal screenshot showing the 12 month span. All right. Now, pre book your care. So I'm talking about queue multiple PT or therapy sessions to prevent scheduling gaps. If you're told we still do 90 days point staff to the VA press release, point to the VA staff press release and VA social post announcing the policy. All right, next up. I mentioned this last week, but I want to go over it again because it's very important. I'm talking about the Supreme Court ruling, Bufkin versus Collins, who decided, well, basically, that in this case was decided March 5th, 2025. So here's what the court decided. So the Supreme Court held that when a court reviews the VA or board's application of the benefit of the doubt rule, which is 38 USC 5107 Bravo, the appropriate standard is clear error, treating it largely as a fact dominant mixed question. In plain English, this means appeals courts give more deference to the board's call on whether the evidence was an approximate balance rather than redeciding it from scratch. So huge thing, right? Now this matters because file level precision is crucial because appellate courts won't freely reweigh the tie goes well, they won't freely reweigh that the tie goes to the vet judgment. You need to build the balance in the record at the RO or board stages. Nexus opinions is pretty important. Using the common term, at least is likely is not. Um, also detailed lay statements, consistent medical evidence as well. So basically, here's the appeal strategy shifts. On appeal, you're now arguing the board clearly missed or misread evidence, not just a difference, not just a different judge, not just that a different judge might see a tie. Expect more focus on record development and identifying specific factual missteps. All right. Um, so, what to do if you're appealing? Front load evidence. Don't wait for the court to bail you out. Get strong reasons and basis, friendly nexus letters, and um, it is a big word. Contemporaneous treatment notes into the file early. All right. So basically, have all your ducks in a row. These are very important things. All right. Um, Even though this ruling does favor for the veteran, still you got to have your paperwork squared away. Uh, so use the VA's magic words. Ask clinicians to opine using at least as likely as not language explicitly, to tie symptoms and functional loss to your service connected condition. Um, yeah, if they say anything else, you got to be careful with that wording because they could be saying it's not tied at all, and it just seems like they are. So, if defined in your notice of disagreement or brief, point to specific record evidence the board ignored. Mischaracterization to meet the clear error bar. All right. Next up, proposed rollback of VA abortion coverage. All right. So, public comments are open until early September 2025. So, what's proposed? The VA or the administration proposed ending abortion services at VA facilities in nearly all cases, removing rape and incest expectations or exceptions, and limiting care to life endangering emergencies. So, this will reverse the 2022 VA rule that allowed abortions for rape and incest and the patient's health, not just life, and was at risk. So the proposal is in notice and comment. Public input closes in early September 2025. So this matters because the access gap for women veterans, of course. So many female veterans live in states with strict abortion bans. VA coverage was abridged to care in certain circumstances. So rolling it back could force travel out of state or forego care altogether. So here's the scope of emergency care. The VA says care for miscarriages, ectopic pregnancies, and true life-threatening conditions remains. Critics warn vague language and provider hesitancy can still delay treatment. So here's some scale and policy context. AP reports that the VA usage of abortion services was relatively small, roughly 140 annually, but advocates argue the policy remains critical for those affected. So, what can you do now? Submit a public comment before the deadline. Describe real world impacts. I'm talking about distance to alternative care, medical risks, etc. Also, ask your VA Women's Health Clinic about continuity of care planning if you're pregnant or may need related services. So, what's covered now? Um, what happens if the rule is finalized as well? So, what's important is to know your emergency rights, care for ectopic pregnancy, miscarriage, complications. It remains a medical necessity. So confirm local protocols so you're not turned away in crisis. Um, all right, so next up, and just to elaborate a little bit more on that, yeah, it's only 140 a year, but I'm pretty sure those are some pretty important cases. So yeah, things like this is really important to speak up on. And anything else, I mean, it's a great idea. They won't know unless we complain in this way. All right, so Congress passes a major funding bill for veterans, and I'm going to drop a separate video to elaborate more on this. So, this Senate action was on August 1st, 2025. So, what happened? By a broad 87 to 9 vote, the Senate approved a two-bill package totaling $154 billion for military construction and VA programs, roughly a 2% increase from prior levels. So, senators also adopted an amendment to protect the Veterans Crisis Line from cuts. So, the package moves negotiations forward to avoid a fall shutdown through additional deals and likely a continuing resolution. So, and those are still expected. Um, so, what's inside the high impact pieces for vets? So, the top line dollars for VA healthcare and benefits stay stable with a small bump. So, this is important during staffing turbulence. All right, so the veteran crisis line protections. Um, Senate language shields the service from proposed reductions and adds oversight before VA can cancel contracts that support vets. So this matters because it keeps the lights on. It prevents near-term disruptions to healthcare, disability payments, and construction projects. I'm talking clinics, cemeteries, and housing. Um, So this signals bipartisan cover for core veteran services while broader spending fights continue. So what can you do? This is a very important segment, people. If you can rely on the crisis line, bookmark 988 and press 1. Funding security should reduce the risk of service interruptions. Now, if you're tracking upgrades or expansions in your area, watch your medical center's announcements in the next quarter as appropriations finalize. All right, next up, Connecticut VA Hospital renaming to honor Vietnam MOH recipient or Medal of Honor recipient. And this is in West Haven, Connecticut. So, what happened? The Senate passed legislation to rename the West Haven VA Medical Center as Captain Paul W. Butcher VA Medical Center. Butcher was a Medal of Honor recipient in 1968 and was a Ridgefield resident who received care at West Haven for PTSD and later Alzheimer's. He passed away, unfortunately, in 2024. The bill passed unanimously in the Senate and now awaits House action. And this was posted by the New Haven Register. Okay, so this matters because legacy and awareness, right? Remaining's honor, Renaming's honor service and can spark local attention and donations, volunteerism for veteran services. Also, community pride. It elevates the profile of West Haven's facility and its specialties, notably neuro and mental health care, which Butch's family publicly praised. Also, if you hear a baby crying in the background, it's because I have a newborn. But don't worry, they're heavily attended. um, Wait a minute, something's going on here. There we go. All right, so what can you do in Connecticut or nearby VISNs? Watch for public events around the renaming. These often bring resource fairs, VSO enrollments, and care navigation help under one roof. So definitely, yeah, keep an eye out for that, y'all. It's always a lot of events, and some of these events are really important because they got information, resources, also free stuff. Who doesn't like free stuff? I know I do. Anyway, if you received care at West Haven, ask about any program expansions or research partnerships like Yale Neurology, tied, which is tied to the facility's visibility. Next up, Homegrown by Heroes, a veteran farmers market. This is also in Connecticut. Connecticut has some big stuff popping. I haven't been there, so I definitely want to go now. I feel like Connecticut gets really cold, so I'm definitely going to go in the warmer months. All right, so what happened? Connecticut hosted its second annual Veteran Farmers Market at the Rocky Hill VA campus, showcasing veteran produced goods. I'm talking produce, poultry, maple syrup under the homegrown by Heroes label. Now, the event was backed by CT Veterans Affairs or Connecticut Veterans Affairs, the State Department of Agriculture, the USDA, and the Farmer Veteran Coalition, with programming upgrades from year one. So, like food trucks and live music to draw bigger crowds. This sounded like a huge and fun event. So, why does this matter? Economic mobility. Farming is a strong transition path, mission-driven work with clear community impact. The Homegrown by Heroes label helps buyers identify and support veteran producers. So the community reconnection. The markets hosted at VA campuses bring healthcare benefits outreach, and business resources to one place, lowering barriers for vets pivoting into agriculture. Um, I know a few veterans in the Maryland area that they have their own farms in the area, so shout out to them. So, what can you do to help these veterans in Connecticut? Connect with the Farmer Veteran Coalition, the Connecticut chapter, to get credentialed for Homegrown by Heroes brand and TAP grants, training, and mentorship. Connecticut officials promote exactly that at the event. And this article was posted by CT News Junkie. Now, outside Connecticut, many states run similar veteran ag programs. Search your state's Department of Agriculture plus Farmers Veteran Coalition and ask about markets, micro grants, and business workshops. For buyers, look for the Homegrown by Heroes label at farm stands and markets. Now, this hits home for me because, as you know, I work for the USDA, and they had a big hand in these types of programs. So, yeah, shout out to them for that. They're also having a week-long event that started Sunday. I think that was the third, and it ends. I think it's like Fridays. I think it's Saturday, and it's basically a week. It's like Farmers Market Week, and they have basically on the National Mall farmers from all over the country coming in. So something similar to what they did in Connecticut, but on a larger scale. So if you're in the area, definitely check that out. If you plan on traveling to the area, make sure you check that out. Now, through the week, it starts at like 4 p.m. and I think it ends like at 8 or 9. So I thought it was during the day. So I tried to stop by there yesterday, and it was just nothing but empty tents. So make sure you look up the schedule first. All right. Uh, so yeah, again, shout out to the USDA for making that happen. It sounds like they are supporting more farmers. Now, working at the USDA is a little bit of a different story at the moment, as you know. But more into that later. Next up, veteran and military community react to VA anti-discrimination policy rollback. So what changed? The VA updated internal facility rules and removed explicit language protecting political beliefs and marital status from patient care non-discrimination statements. Facilities also adopted new guidance restricting flag displays, including pride flags, to a narrow list of approved flags. So the Office of Equity Assurance, which is OEA, created to track disparities, was shut down. So VA leadership says core protections still exist under federal law, like race, color, religion, sex, and denies any intent to discriminate. All right, so in June or July, a hearing exchange happened. So the VA Secretary Doug Collins argued the changes were meaningless, while lawmakers and advocates said removing the words sends a real signal that could chill care seeking. So nearly 100 members of Congress pressed for a reversal, And this matters because the LGBTQ community and minority veterans worry the combination of removing explicit protection, banning pride displays, and dissolving the equity office could translate into uneven treatment, especially in rural areas with fewer alternatives. Editorials and advocacy groups warn the changes may deter vets from reporting bias or returning for care. Now, the VA maintains that federal law still bars discrimination and that clinical care standards remain unchanged. But without an equity office, data collection and accountability on disparities may weaken. So, what to do if you're affected? Document issues and secure messaging like My Healthy Vet, and file complaints through your facility, patient advocate, and the Office of Resolution Management, Diversity, and Inclusion, which is ORDMI. Written records matter. So if comfort or access is impacted, ask your clinician about community care under the Mission Act. You may qualify if wait time or distance standards are not met. The new 12-month authorization that I mentioned earlier, but can reduce disruptions once referred. All right, so next up, British documentary highlights U.S. veterans' um, mental health. So basically, it's called America's Veterans: The War Within, and it's by Dia Khan, and it was created this year. So it covers a premiere. What it covers is basically it was premiered in June 15th on 2025 on ITV. So this was a 68-minute documentary that follows post 9/11 veterans across multiple states, focused on PTSD, moral injury, self-harm risk, addiction, homelessness, and reintegration with family perspectives and clinician voices. Uh, so this matters because the film's human level case studies mirror issues your audience sees daily: long waits for therapy, stigma, and struggle to navigate VA versus community resources. It's a strong conversation started for outreach, peer support, and policy education. And Apple TV said that. It's kind of crazy how you know a British production company had to put this out, but it is what it is. I'm glad it's out. So, how to use it um, as a creator or advocate? Clip short, fair use moments for discussion, reaction videos. I'm talking commentary because commentary transforms the content, which is a great idea, and I'm definitely gonna clip some of that content. Um, Also, pair the topics in the film with action steps: how to request VA mental health care, how to move to community care when access standards aren't met, and how to submit evidence for secondary mental health conditions like depression from chronic pain. Now, add um, the Veterans Crisis Line 988 and press one, um, the Vet Center's state peer support. So yeah, just make sure save that number. All right, and send it to a battle buddy. Affordable care housing boost for NYC veterans. In this segment, basically, New York City doubled housing lottery preference for city workers and military veterans from 5 to 10% of eligible affordable homes listed on Housing Connect. It's the first time veterans are explicitly included for the preference. So the policy is part of a wider housing push, um, like the City of Yes, zoning reforms, new sites like the former Flushing Airport. So yeah, pretty dope stuff. So who's eligible and how it works? Uh, Preference applies to newly constructed affordable homes financed by HPD and HDC and listed on NYC Housing Connect. Veterans must verify military status during the application. The preference does not guarantee selection. It increases the odds in the lottery pool. Details on income bands like AMI vary by project. Some listings skew toward higher AMI, so review ranges carefully. So this matters because NYC's rents have outpaced disability and entry-level wages. Carving out 10% preference can keep veterans in the communities they served. However, critics note some projects' AMI bans may still be too high for many vets. Screen listings, um, also screen listings for true affordability. And this was posted in Reddit. So what to do next? NYC vets specifically create and update your Housing Connect profile and upload veteran status docs like your DD 214. Use filters for lower AMI projects and apply broadly and set alerts. Um, and then pair that with the HUD, VASH, or SSVF if eligible, and check property tax exemptions or utility credits for disabled vets once housed. City Press material suggests more supply is coming, so monitor new postings weekly. And that's all I have for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I'm Ryan Rowley with Simple Benefits or Simple Vet Benefits. I teach mainly around VA claims or VA compensation. Make sure you check out the channel. I have a playlist that is basically it's called "How to Win My VA Disability Claim." And it covers almost anything you can imagine. Now, if you want more in depth and um, knowledge and uh, strategies and other resources like templates and things of that matter, make sure you get the Vet Rating Guide. It's a program I created for veterans to maximize the approval rate for your claims, and also make you aware of what you can do in most situations, like denials, um, reductions, um, how to go about CMP exams, how to prepare for them, and how to build a bulletproof claim. So check that stuff out. Appreciate y'all tuning in. And until next time, see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m.